Welcome to my Soul Series. Soul Series is part of Oprah and Friends, exclusively on XM Radio Channel 156. And you can listen to the entire Soul Series collection on xmradio.com/Oprah. Well, I'm really, really excited today to meet a woman named Byron Katie. Now, I've heard a lot about her in the spiritual circles. A friend of mine had told me about one of her books years ago, and most recently, another friend called me up and said, have you heard of the work, Byron Katie? The work? I go, yeah, I keep hearing about this woman, Byron Katie. So I got her book, Loving What Is, started reading it, and loved it so much because it brought me to another level of thinking about resisting what is. And so this whole idea of being able to accept the moment for what the moment has to offer and not resisting it is something I want to talk to her about. And also, but if you don't resist, do you just walk around all the time like, ooh, not resisting? We're going to find out today with Byron Katie. It's uplifting, enlightening, truly powerful. Welcome to Soul Series. Hi, welcome to my Soul Series. It's a time to kick back and simply, for me, engage in what I think is the richest conversation any of us can have in our lives, with our lives, about our lives, and that's about who we really are, about the stuff in life that truly matters to all of us. And my guest today, Byron Katie, author of 1,000 Names for Joy, Living in Harmony with the Way Things Are, and she's the founder of The Work, a process of inquiry from which she offers anybody who can learn to identify and question the thoughts that cause their suffering. Katie, everybody calls you, right? Yeah. I just want to say a few things about, because everyone who's listening to this series, no doubt you understand that we're also doing online with Eckhart Tolle our class for New Earth, and Eckhart Tolle, whom you've undoubtedly heard me talk about over the past several months, says of Katie's work that it is a great blessing for our planet, is how he describes it. It acts like a razor-sharp sword that cuts through illusions and enables you to know for yourself the timeless essence of your being. He goes on to call your book Loving What Is, the key to knowing your natural state, which is joy, peace, and love. Yes. That's a pretty good compliment coming from.
He's a dear friend. Yeah. He's a dear friend for everyone.
You know what I found? Your work takes the message that Eckhart speaks of in A New Earth to the next level. It's about putting it in process on a daily basis.
It's like Eckhart is what, and the work is how. Mm-hmm. And we've had these masters throughout the centuries and centuries, but how do we do it? You know, the work is how.
Paint a picture for us. How old were you? What was going on in your life?
I was 43 when this experience happened to me, and I had been suffering just deep depression, suicidal even, and agoraphobic. I couldn't leave my bedroom often for days and weeks other than just to go to the toilet. And my hair would stick to me. It was a horrible way to live. I was well over 200 pounds, and I was desperate. And later I found that simply it was the effect of believing my thinking, the thoughts that we're all thinking.
All the time. That run our lives.
My children don't respect me. They should mind me. And it was the world doesn't understand. People really don't understand my suffering, my pain. And you know, victims are violent people, I've come to see.
Really?
And I was such a victim. And therefore violent, full of this hatred turned inward. Rage.
Right. So not even thinking yourself worthy, Katie, to sleep in a bed. You're sleeping on the floor, and tell us what happened.
Well, actually, as I lay asleep on the floor one morning, actually a cockroach crawled over my foot, and I opened my eyes, and in place of all that darkness was a joy that I just simply can't describe. But the thing that is really important that I realized is that when I believed my thoughts, I suffered. But when I question my thoughts, I don't suffer. And I've come to see that this is true for every human being.
Tell us, were you a spiritual person before? I mean, during all of this depression and horrible times, was there a God that you believed in, or a God that you felt badly that you didn't believe in?
Yeah, there was a God I cursed. I really blame God for my condition also, along with everyone and everything else. And I just came to see differently. I had no teacher. I didn't have a religion, nothing.
Well, is it kind of like, I think, Eckhart several weeks ago when we were doing our A New Earth series, and also in his book, A Power of Now, describes the moment where he says, I felt I cannot live, I'm so miserable, I cannot live with myself any longer.
Yeah.
And then I question, who is the I and who is the myself? Are there two of us? Is that what you're describing?
Well, it's like that in hindsight.
In hindsight,
yes.
It is. All right.
But, you know, I've come to see that there's, you know, one mind, as people say, and I've really come to realize that. And I've come to see also in that one mind that there are no new stressful thoughts. So if we all, or just one, you know, I'm always speaking to myself, just questioned those stressful thoughts, it frees the mind up.
So when we question our thoughts, we don't suffer. When we believe our thoughts, we do.
The stressful ones.
The stressful ones.
Because the ones like, I really care about you. Isn't this a wonderful world? I love seeing you. All these thoughts. I love my children. Those thoughts are working for us. And who cares if they're true or not? They're working for us. If you're in a wonderful dream, do you want someone to wake you up?
No.
But if you're in a nightmare, don't you want someone to wake you up? Well, that's what this work is for. That's what the work is for.
Was the cockroach moment, Katie, was that what you call waking up to reality?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm talking to Byron Katie, author of Loving What Is. Let's go back. So you have the reality experience with the cockroach. You're there lying on the floor. And then what happens?
The mind hit. And in that moment, I saw that what I was believing, what I was being hit with, was not true for me. Wow. Because I had just had the experience that it wasn't. And then in that moment, the world instantly happened. There were walls and ceilings and sky and floor and bed.
And you saw everything differently.
Everything differently.
What is it that you absolutely realized, Katie, in that awakening moment on that floor? What is it that you absolutely realized that you could clarify for our listeners?
That I am whatever I believe me to be. And then when you question that, Oprah, it doesn't leave much. If it leaves anything at all, for me, it's gratitude. And how can I help? It's gratitude and surface.
Okay, but if you are whatever you believe yourself to be, then why couldn't you be also the depressed person, the person who isn't good enough, the person who's never made it, the person who's not loved by her children, the person who's not been received by...
Because I can't believe the thoughts that are happening that tell me that. If someone said, Katie, you're worthless, you know, I realize how painful it is to believe that about someone, yourself or anyone. So if someone says, Katie, I don't care about you, I just think, I hope they do better. I know how painful that is. To see another human being as less than you see yourself. Okay. And if someone says, Katie, I love you, I think, oh my goodness, isn't that person doing well? They love. And that's the highest standard for a balanced mind.
Did you question your sanity at all? Did you think, whoa?
My family did, but I knew what insanity was, and I knew I frightened people with this awakening, and so I continued to learn balance.
So you immediately started counseling people then? Because who knew? Because you've been this depressed, agoraphobic all this time. So why is anybody now coming to your door?
Well, it was such a radical experience. It was such a change that even my children didn't recognize me. So word of mouth happened, and I didn't know what it was. So people called, and they said, can you help me? And I said, you know, I don't even know what this is, but what I can tell you is whatever it is, it's yours. And so actually people would come live with me. I thought maybe it was the air, the food, I had no idea what it was. I had to find references as I went along, and people gave me my references.
Mm-hmm. So the work is called an inquiry. You call it the inquiry. Mm-hmm. When you were down there lying with the cockroach, mm-hmm. did the 4 questions come to you then?
It was automatic. I saw that nothing was true, and then I saw the mind hit, and I saw the mind believed it.
Okay.
And so that's...
Okay, say that again, slowly. You saw that nothing was true?
Yes. It's like nothing was true.
Nothing was true?
Nothing. No identification. Then the mind hit.
Yeah.
And I saw that the mind wasn't true, and I saw that people believed their thoughts, mm-hmm. but it simply wasn't true for me. That doesn't mean that it's not true for them. So the work is 4 questions and a turnaround. So the first question, you're believing, for example,
let me turn in my book to the questions.
Okay.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
The first question is it true? For example,
mm-hmm.
for example, if I had the thought, he doesn't care about me.
Right.
The first question is it true? The second question, can I absolutely know that it's true he doesn't care about me? Mm-hmm. The third question, how do you react when you believe the thought he doesn't care about me?
Yeah.
Well, the whole world is born out of that. Maybe I become angry or I become sad.
Okay, so tell us how this worked with you first. You are feeling depressed, miserable, distraught, all those things that many people have felt.
Yes.
And the question comes, is it true? Well, I would think the answer would be for, many people who have felt this themselves, and almost anyone listening has, yeah, I am. I'm miserable. I'm pretty miserable.
And that's an honest answer, and that's all that's required is the willingness to answer the questions. That's all. So the answer would be yes. And I say, can you absolutely know that it's true that you are worthless? And they might answer yes again, because the mind immediately is giving them all the proof and all the images.
All right.
That's how the mind works.
Right. So yes, I'm worthless, and yes, I know I'm worthless.
Yes. And
so
how
far I'm not doing so good.
Yeah, so far. And so the third question, how do you react when you believe the thought that you're worthless?
Oh,
and what
makes me feel even more worthless.
Yes, that your stomach could rotate.
Yes.
Tears could happen.
Yeah.
Depression happens.
Yes.
And we become unkind, and we wonder what is the matter with us. Mm-hmm. I don't want to talk that way to people. I don't want to hurt people, and we're striking out. And then the mind, how do we react when we think that thought? Mm-hmm. The mind attacks, and then it comes back and attacks you, and then guilt happens.
Correct.
And so it is this swerve. And how do I react when I believed the thought? I compulsively overate. I drank. All these addictions kicked in. Mm-hmm. It's how we react when we believe these stressful thoughts. So then the fourth question, who would you be without that thought? And then just to sit and get still and don't change anything. And I invite all the listeners to just close their eyes and look at their life just the way they live it. At the market, at home, doing the dishes, whatever it is, going to work, walking, to look back at their life, only drop the thought. Who would you be without your story? Just to drop the thought and look at your life. And you see,
yes, because in almost every situation, if not every situation, it's not what is happening, it's what we tell ourselves, or the thoughts that we have about what's happening that make it whatever it is.
Yes.
That's right.
And we can have all kinds of thoughts about it. It's do we believe them or not?
Right.
That's the key.
Yeah, right.
So then I invite people after those 4 questions.
May I read from just a page, I don't know the page. Oh, it's page 1. A few basic principles in loving what is you say, noticing when your thoughts argue with reality. The only time, the only time we suffer is when we believe a thought that argues with what is. When the mind is perfectly clear, what is what we want. And I wrote down, okay, what if someone is being really, really inappropriate? You're in a situation where something is happening and you don't want it to happen. You even go to the place where it's happening. I don't want it to happen. I'm not going to resist it. I'm going to accept what is. But it still isn't necessarily what you want.
Well, I would say change it.
Then change
all
it.
of your power, change it.
Okay.
Right here, right now, because that's the only opportunity you have.
Okay.
Right here, right now. So you change it. And if that doesn't work, then open your mind and see a higher way.
Okay.
Because it's got to be.
You also say, I'm a lover of what is, not because I'm a spiritual person, but because it hurts when I argue with reality.
Yes.
But I wonder if we take this approach, you say, when we stop opposing reality, action becomes simple, fluid, kind, and fearless.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, though, if we don't oppose reality, when reality is something that we are opposed to, we don't oppose it, well, how do we ever get anything done?
Reality is the story of the past.
Okay. How so?
And we can change the past now. Okay, so reality is... So on the discussion we just had right now is the past.
It's over. Gone.
And it's reality.
Yeah.
So if something happened between us that we wanted to shift, we have the power to shift it now.
Right now.
Yes. And I've come to see that defense is the first act of war. So if I attempt to shift,
defense is the first act of war. So
yes.
The moment you start to defend, you put yourself in a position of creating war.
And who did it? I did, the moment I defended. Okay. So we can discuss any shift, or I can discuss any shift. Like I can give you my experience, I can give you my education, my educated view, if one happens to be there on the topic, and that's all I've got. That's what I've got, my wisdom, my experience.
Is that to say then nothing is worthy of defense? Lots of things are worth defending.
Defense is war. And I say all war belongs on paper. That's where it belongs, so we can look at it and question those thoughts we're believing.
Okay, I got it. I just got the shift in, because I was thinking when you said that, I'm working on this whole program to really shift the way our country looks at child abuse. And I was thinking, I'm defending the children, and even as you said that, I realized I'm really not trying to defend the children, I'm trying to protect them, which is different.
Yes, and you're educating us.
Shift.
And you're educating them.
I just had a shift. And that if I try to defend them, that I will end up being a part of the war.
Of the problem.
The problem, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't have a war against anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how wars begin.
Yeah, okay, I got it.
I'm going to defend my point of view. You got it?
I got that. So I want to actually do the work with you. But the other thing that I love that you present early on in Loving What Is about the three businesses. You say there's your business, there's everybody else's business, and there's God's business.
Yes.
And I just wanted to share that with you, the listener out there, because if you just get that, if you just got that from today's conversation, you could really, really tend to your business and leave other people's business alone.
So powerful. Can you imagine if we all took care of our business?
You just did your business. This is so interesting, because there was something going on recently, and my girlfriend, Gail, said, you need to call up this person, and you need to talk to them, and I got pulled into it, and I did, and I'm on the phone, and I'm telling this person what they should be doing, and just as I hung up the phone, I thought, this is going to come back to me, and it's not going to be good, and it's not going to be good because I now am in somebody else's business. I should stay in my own business and tend to, because that's the only business I have any control over.
That's right.
So there's your business, everybody else's business, and God's business.
Yes. And if anyone feels lonely, separate, then ask yourself mentally, whose business are you in? And it can just bring you right back to where you really are, and that's where the change can take place.
You say staying in your own business. I can find only 3 kinds of business in the universe: mine, yours, and God's. When I'm worried about earthquakes, floods, war, or when I will die, I'm in God's business. Do I know what's right for me? That is my only business. Let me work with that before I try to solve your problems for you.
And isn't that a full-time job?
That's a full-time job, just to stay in your own business. All right, that's our message for today. Stay in your own business and out of other people's business.
Mentally.
Yeah. Loving What Is. Byron Katie, come back, would you? And we're going to put the work to work with me and with you who are listening. You're listening to my Soul series on Oprah and Friends. Thanks for joining us. Fascinating. The Work by Byron Katie. I hope you enjoyed this edition of our Soul series. These are some of my favorite conversations.
To hear more, sign up for a free 30-day XM radio trial by going to www.xmradio.com/Oprah.
Welcome to my Soul series. Soul series is part of Oprah and Friends, exclusively on XM Radio Channel 156. And you can listen to the entire Soul series collection on xmradio.com/Oprah. It's uplifting, enlightening, truly powerful. Welcome to Soul series. Welcome back, Byron Katie. Byron Katie, author of 1,000 Names for Joy and also Loving What Is, and creator of the process. Did we call it a process? Called The Work?
The Work.
These 4 questions will join any program you've got and enhance it. Any religion you have, they'll enhance it. If you have no religion, they will bring you joy, and they'll burn up anything that isn't true for you. They'll burn through to the reality that has always been waiting. And the 4 questions are,
is it true?
Is it true?
Can you absolutely know that it's true?
Mm-hmm.
And you identify a concept, and then you apply these questions to that concept. 3rd question, how do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? And the 4th question, who would you be without that thought?
Okay.
And then I invite people to turn the thought around.
Okay, well, let's start, because the last time you were here, you said when you first discovered the work, when you were able to come into this, that you were 200 pounds, over 200 pounds,
yes.
and that you had been depressed and agoraphobic and really at rock bottom, suicidal, and all of those things, and then the cockroach rolled over your foot. You had the awakening, and since then life has turned around for you.
Radically.
Radically.
Yeah.
And have you not suffered since that day?
Not suffered since that day.
And that was how long ago, Katie?
That was 22 years ago.
You have not suffered?
I haven't experienced that. Well, you know, I'm very open to suffering, and I haven't experienced sadness, but I'm very open to sadness. Mm-hmm. And I'm very open to anger. But you have to believe your stressful thoughts before you can experience those emotions.
How do you define suffering?
Sadness, resentment, anger. But, you know, I cry a lot. You know, I'm moved to tears.
But not suffering. Not to the
genuine. No suffering.
Have you not lost a loved one?
Yes, I lost my mother a couple of years ago. And
did you not suffer?
Well, I didn't.
You didn't suffer?
I didn't.
How?
Oh, it was, I'm so full of love, there's no room for it. My
God.
Goodness, I dropped my whole schedule and I went to live with her. She had pancreatic cancer, and I stayed with her. And my goodness, you know, I'm still waiting for her to die. When she died, I was holding her hand, looking directly into her eyes, and she was there, and then she wasn't, and I continued to look directly into her eyes to see death, and it never happened. It was all in my mind. And because I don't mind death, I see death as a wonderful thing. I see life as a wonderful thing. So, you know, when people are frightened of death...
When you say it wasn't there, you said she'd gone, though. She disappeared. She disappeared.
She was there, and then she wasn't.
She was there, and then she wasn't.
Mind stopped identifying as that human being was gone. Mm-hmm. And when a mind can no longer identify with the body, you know, when the mind says move, stand up, sit down, and the body won't do it, it quickly discovers its own game, and there's no way to identify any longer. So it's everything.
So if you don't suffer, what do you do when you're feeling bad?
You don't.
Do you feel badly?
No, I don't feel badly. Oh, this sounds so ridiculous.
No, it sounds great to me.
Well, you know,
like I want some of that.
You know,
you don't feel badly? You don't have bad days?
No, not yet. As I say, I am wide
years?
open. No.
Okay, so what do you feel when you are not Are you joyous all the time?
Well, there's a balance, and it isn't what people maybe would consider joy to be, like happy.
Not zippity-doo-dah.
Yeah, and that happens also, but there's a balance,
a peace. A contentment.
Yeah, yes, and self-realization, until it's lived, there's no power in it. It has to be lived, lived, and there isn't anything more powerful than that.
Well, I love what you're saying, that the main reason you don't suffer ever is because...
I don't believe my stressful thoughts. I don't believe the thoughts that used to stress me out. For example, back to my mother, when she died, like the work is 4 questions and a turnaround. After a person has questioned what they have believed, their stressful thoughts that they have believed, then, for example, they might think, first, oh, my mother died.
Mm-hmm.
But you question what you believe, and it's, oh, my mother died. And it's a celebration.
Okay,
and you feel so
connected.
Say that again. My mother died. I'm so sad. Turned around. My mother died. I am so happy for her. I'm so happy for me.
Why would I be happy if my mother died?
Well, let's look at that. If your mother has pancreatic cancer, why is she better off? Or the baby that dies, that we say they haven't lived out their life. Of course they've lived out their life. That was their life. From here to there, that was their life. It wasn't too late or too early.
But I wanted it to be longer.
And you lose. You know, there is
And so therefore
reality.
I'm going to suffer because of that.
That's right, because you're arguing with what is.
Okay.
Now, why is it a better thing that my mother died? She no longer suffers. I don't have to watch her suffer.
But I wanted her to be here with me.
Well, there you have it. You know, it's a totally selfish thing. It's like, don't die. It doesn't matter. I'm more comfortable when you live. That is so egoic.
And that is what you mean by
painful.
loving what is, or being able to accept what is.
Yes, no matter what happens.
Okay.
You know, I was blind, so blind. I had an eye disease, a Fuchs dystrophy, very painful disease. And I continued with a full schedule. I traveled all over the world. I fell down staircases, flights of stairs, bumped into walls. I had amazing experiences. But and now I've got 2 cornea transplants. They said that couldn't happen, but my husband, Stephen Mitchell, he's a most amazing man.
Right.
He Googled until he found a way, and I was like the 40th
cornea
guinea pig.
Yeah,
and oh my goodness. And people say, have you rejected the transplants? And I said, I'm never going to reject the transplants. They can reject me. I'm certainly not going to reject them, but they have a right to reject me. Everything has a right to its life.
Okay. So you say in the beginning of Loving What Is that it is our thoughts about a given situation that causes us suffering. When we label the situation.
The thoughts we're believing.
The thoughts that we're believing about the situation, and that it is our resistance to whatever the moment is. Now, I actually was reading your book and was reading your book on a Thursday night, and then had to do something all day Friday, and that evening, Friday evening, I started to get really, really, really sick. I mean, all of a sudden my body ached, my bone, I was sore, achy inside myself. So much so I didn't even think I was going to make it home and, make it to bed. And there was only my dogs in the house with me and security. I remember in the middle of the night being too tired to wake up to even, I was like groggy and wanted to ask security to bring some water, but too tired to reach for the phone to even say bring some water. So I was really sick. And suddenly I had the thought, after reading your book, I'm going to stop resisting being sick. I'm going to let it, because I'm trying not to be sick. I'm in the middle of sick, going, oh, I can't believe how sick I am. I was so sick, I was sick. I suddenly had the thought or feeling that I'm going to release my resistance to being sick. I'm going to embrace it. I said, I'm going to embrace it. Makes me want to cry thinking about it. I said, I'm going to embrace it and see what happens. I fell asleep and I woke up miraculously cured.
It is amazing to love what is. See, that's a description.
And I wouldn't have thought I would have been
is.
able to get out of bed in the next 3 days. I was thinking, how am I going to get to work? How am I going to fly back across country? How am I
have goosebumps. You stopped arguing with reality.
I stopped fighting it.
It's a magical world. And then if you get still and you go back and you look at how your body really was, and you look back, was that pain? Was it really pain, or was it something else?
I don't know what it was. I now don't know what it was. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like what we are calling sadness or sadness. I invite people to question that. Is it sadness or is it love? And to get really still. Are those feelings sadness or are they love, like when a loved one dies? And to get really honest about it. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's not sadness.
Well, I am going to cry because I lost my dog, Sophie, and she'd been with me for 13 years, every day, everywhere. And I was sitting alone this weekend just thinking about her, and I passed a picture of her on the wall. And I had that feeling. I mean, is this, trying to be in touch with what am I really feeling? Yeah. What am I really feeling? Yes. I miss her physical body because she slept on the bed every night. But what I'm really feeling is a deep, deep love for her. Yeah. A deep love for her. Yeah. A deep love for her. And wondering if I was able. This is the same thing I know everybody feels when they lose a loved one, and I would say Sophie is the closest. I was going to say closest person, closest entity that I've lost. Yeah. As an adult, and so I question whether or not. I did everything for this little dog. She's had chemotherapy and 2 surgeries, and she was getting another shunt for her neck, for her kidneys, and so forth. So I did everything for her. Now I question, was I fully present for her? Yeah.
It's like, were you doing everything for her?
I did everything for her.
Was it for you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was it more for you than Sophie? And these are just interesting things to look at.
Yeah.
But, as you discuss Sophie, I can see her, and I don't even know what kind of dog she was, and I think I do, but But as we think of her, don't you see her? Mm-hmm. I see her, and I never met her. Don't you see her? So she died. Is it true? I mean, they don't die, and every time this visit, they come to our mind, so it comes to your mind. She hits your mind, and then love happens.
Right.
And we name it sadness. But all of those years, 13 years being with Sophie, are there. And like you did with your sickness, if you allow it, she never leaves. Mm-hmm. And that kind of love, I'd like to say, no one can leave me. They don't have that power. It's here. It's here in your mind, and it hits your heart.
Right. Correct. All right, so let's see how this works let's see how the work works for an issue that has been troubling me for as long as I can remember. Actually, I can remember how long it's been troubling me, my weight. You said that because when I was reading this, I was thinking, oh, well, you need to write a book for how this works for weight. Mm-hmm. I thought I had beat the weight game. I thought it was over for me and that I had it under control. And last year, it is true that I had what the doctor said was a thyroid issue. And I went to the doctors, and the doctor said to me, well, you're going to gain weight. You must learn to embrace hunger because you're going to gain weight. I couldn't believe this was happening to me, who's had a, quote, weight issue my whole life. And now I will go to the doctor who says, you have an issue now that's actually going to make you gain weight. What I now think is I didn't have to gain weight, but what I did was I believed the doctor.
Yes.
I believed the doctor, so I stopped working out as much. I believed the doctor, so I just sort of started.
Cause and effect. You believe, and then the effect happens.
Right. Okay, so in terms of the work, I am sick of the struggle with weight. I'm sick of it. I believe that is true.
Okay, so you're sick of weight being an issue in your life. Can you absolutely know that it's true that you're sick of it? You say you are, and can you absolutely know that it's true that you're sick of it?
Uh-huh.
Okay?
Yes.
So what happens to you when you think the thought, I'm sick of the struggle in my life?
What happens to me? I get frustrated. I get, I'm thinking about what I should eat or I shouldn't eat, what I ate yesterday, what I shouldn't have eaten yesterday, what I'm going to eat tomorrow, 3 weeks from now. I have something coming up with the party at Maya Angelou's. Will I eat there? Will I drink there? Will I have no champagne? Will I eliminate champagne? Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah. So, what do you think about your body, Oprah?
What do I think of it?
Yeah. What do you think of it? How do you see it? It's stress-wise. Stressful thought-wise.
I wish it were a size 10 and not a size 14.
Okay. So you think your body is too large?
Yes.
Okay. So is it true your body is too large?
True for whom?
For you.
Is it true for me?
For you, because that's all you're ever going to have to deal with.
That's right, because it's just my business.
And there are people who weigh less than you do who think they're obese. Yeah. There are people who weigh a lot more than you do.
Is it true for me that I think that my body is too large? Yeah, it is.
Okay. So your body is too large.
Mm-hmm.
Can you absolutely know that it's true your body is too large?
For me. Well, for my mind it is. For my mind it is.
Your body's too large. Can you absolutely know that that's true?
Well, I can't absolutely know that it's true because obviously it's serving a purpose.
So I invite you to commit to a yes or a no, because the work stops working the moment you stop answering the questions. What happens is the mind wants you to defend what you're believing. It wants to justify what you're believing, and the work, when you answer the questions, is cut through it. So commit to a yes or a no.
A yes or a no.
Uh-huh.
Too large for me is the question.
Can you absolutely know that your body is too large?
No.
Oh, you're amazing.
The reason why I know it can't be, it can't be absolutely true that my body is too large, because it is. It is, and it's working for me, and functioning, so I can't know that it absolutely is true.
And not only that, when
would I like it to be different? Yes, but that's not the question you asked.
No, and that is different. It's like, who needs God when I have my opinion? Mm-hmm. I know my body's too large, and it is arguing with reality, and this is a little strange for now. Let's move to the third one. How do you react? What happens to your life when you believe this thought? Such a huge question.
Yeah.
And you answer for millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people going through this.
I feel frustrated. I feel, anxiety. I get not, anxious, not depressed, because I feel not good about myself. I feel like I should be doing better.
And your mind shows you images. It compares you to a size 10 or a size 8. And then you watch other people and you compare your body. That's how the mind works. Right. When you believe the thought, my body's too large.
I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it.
And you become sick of it. And then also, how do we react when we believe the thought our bodies are too large? We actually eat more. We become like, this is hopeless.
You know why we eat more? Because you want to feel better about the fact that your body
We're at war with the innocent.
Yes. I'm talking to Byron Katie here, a woman who truly, truly loves what is, author of Loving What Is, and she's doing the work with me here, literally.
So we see how we react when we believe the thought, and we even become bitter. And some of us do become depressed. And who would you be? The fourth question, who would you be without the thought? My body is too large.
I'd be so joyful.
Yeah.
I'd be able to go through my closet and get dressed in the morning without thinking about what's going to fit instead of,
Yeah,
I'd just move through life. I wouldn't have this as an issue. I could let this go.
And isn't that the very thing
I could give so much more energy to so many other things.
And isn't that what you think you're going to have when you're at the size 10 or the size 8? I mean, I say skip all of that and have it from here, right now.
How am I going to do that?
Just simply,
my body's too large.
Oh, that's okay. So we're not there yet. So just to notice that with the thought, a lot of stress. Without the thought,
what if I let go of that thought? I would be so much happier.
Okay, now I'm not asking you to let go of the thought.
You're not.
I'm not even asking you to change it. I'm not asking anything, just your answers. So what we've learned from you is with the thought, stress, and everything else that we discussed.
Right.
Without the thought, happiness.
Right.
Joy.
Joy.
Your mind not on the body.
Right.
Okay, so with the thought, stress, without the thought, no stress. So how can the body be the problem?
My body is not the problem. It's what I think about it.
Okay, so let's go back to an example. Give me an example of the turnaround. My body is not too large.
My body is not too large because it functions for me and allows me to be able to get up and move through life every day and speak to the world from a sacred space. My body is not too large.
It's not too large to be yours. It's too large to be hers. It's not large enough to be his or hers. This is right here, right now. It is the perfect weight, the perfect size to be you. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be thinner next week. Mm-hmm. I only have one thing to deal with. What am I going to put in my mouth right here, right now? Mm-hmm. That's it. Not forever, just in this moment. And then I notice I eat what I eat or I don't, and I'm just noticing. Yeah,
being more conscious.
And until then, I am the perfect size to be me. Somebody's got to be you, Oprah. No one else could do it. You're the one, and this is what it takes, but only right here, right now.
When you learn to do the inquiry of the work, mm-hmm. which are the 4 questions, is it true? Is it really true? The third one I forgot.
How do you react? What happens to your life, your entire life, when you believe that thought?
And the fourth one?
Who would you be without that thought?
And then you turn it around.
If
you apply that to everything in your life.
Then you wake up. You wake up to reality. You wake up. This is about the end of suffering. Oprah, if heaven were the most marvelous place, everyone wants to go to heaven, or people that do and believe in it. If you died and went to heaven where everything was perfect, there was no suffering, there was no sorrow, there was no misery. If you died and went to heaven and you took what you're believing to heaven with you, where would you be?
Right.
On earth.
On earth.
So I woke up and I discovered heaven. I'm in heaven, and I am inviting everyone to it. And I can't take you there. But people who answer these 4 questions and turn around and sit and get very still can take them there.
The 4
if
questions
their mind is
in
open
loving
to it.
what is. Byron Katie, it's been a joy having you here. I mean, really. All right. My body is fine the way it is.
In this moment.
Right now.
Argue with it, and you miss the beauty. Was the beauty of you, and that certainly isn't like you.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this edition of our Soul Series. These are some of my favorite conversations.
To hear more, sign up for a free 30-day XM radio trial by going to www.xmradio.com/Oprah.
Welcome to my Soul Series. Soul Series is part of Oprah and Friends, exclusively on XM Radio Channel 156. And you can listen to the entire Soul Series collection on xmradio.com/Oprah. It's uplifting, enlightening, truly powerful. Welcome to Soul Series. Hi, I'm Oprah. I can't get enough of Loving What Is by Byron Katie, so much so that I've invited her to continue our conversation talking about loving what is. Welcome back, Byron Katie. One of the things you talk about in the book is the 3 businesses: your business, everybody else's business, and God's business. Most people, as you said to us in previous weeks, are worried about their other people's business.
Our daughters, our sons, hunger, war, and we're mentally running the world, and we're asleep to our own.
Okay. Now, you describe in Loving What Is, I know I wrote it down for myself because I was so struck by this. Now, where are my notes? When you were talking about your own daughter who was an addict, mm-hmm. by her own words. Can you tell us about that? When you're waiting up for your daughter?
Well, My amazing daughter was full of resentment. I was so full of self-hatred, and I took it out on my children, and it was not an easy life for them, living with a mother that was so bitter. And when I had this experience, waking up to reality, I came to understand that my daughter was into drugs and alcohol. I just bought her a brand new, gorgeous car, and here she is. I'm seeing this, drinking alcoholically and driving, but she would leave, and I would wait up for her, and over I would sit in a chair like this, and I would imagine her dead on the highway. I would imagine her raped. I would imagine her killing other human beings. I would imagine her in the car rolled over out. We lived in the desert, and rolled over with screaming for help and no one there.
Right.
It was all in my imaginations with all of the images and all of the just as strong as they could possibly be.
Living in your imagination, sitting there, imagining, is she dead? Is she going to harm somebody else? That's when you were suffering. So in your imagination.
No, I never suffered.
You didn't suffer.
I was sitting there waiting to see what was true, the difference between reality and fantasy.
Okay.
Until human beings get the difference between reality and sanity, there's not going to be any peace.
Now, what you say in Loving What He is that all the things you've just shared with her, I'm her mother, I bought her the car, I'm responsible, I should take her car from her. She'll drive while she's drunk. She'll kill somebody. She'll crash into another car. As the thoughts appeared, and each one would be met with wordless, thoughtless inquiry.
Yes.
An inquiry, instantly, inquiry meaning the 4 questions.
Yes.
Is it true? Brought me back to reality. Here is what was true. Woman sitting in chair, waiting for her beloved daughter.
Yes.
That's the only thing that was real.
That's all that was real.
And so for you who are listening, if you can separate from your thoughts, be the awareness of your thoughts.
Or see what is true and what is not.
What is true and what is not.
Yeah.
Well, how do we, if we are, for most people, as I said at the beginning of this, is that most people are searching for ways to, be in other people's business. And their biggest concerns are what other people are doing to them. Mm-hmm. How do you get away from, and I've had this issue that I'll share with you. For me, and lots of people I think have this issue, when you're the person in your family who makes the most money or the person who's been the most successful, people have a tendency to look at you as a bank.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
I call it honest yeses and honest nos.
All right.
So if someone said, it's like if I'm Oprah, for example, hypothetically, what would those people, what do those people say? So just be all of them rolled into one, and let's have a conversation.
Okay. All right. So I have, I want to borrow some money from you.
Thank you for asking, and no.
Oh, well, then that ended it. Well, that's it. That's not generally the way it goes.
Let's have that conversation.
Okay. I can't believe with all that you have, and you're helping other people all the time, that you won't give me $100,000.
I know. It just sounds nuts, doesn't it? But it feels right to me.
Well, all I'm asking for is $100,000, and you have it. You have it.
That's true. I do. I do.
And I want some of it.
I know. I know.
Okay, never mind. End of conversation. Oh, my gosh.
See, it goes back to defense is the first act of war.
Okay. It's because I'm defending it.
Yes, like you don't have a right to.
You shoulds and you shoulds and you shoulds and can't you believe and haven't I done enough?
And that is war, and it belongs on paper. It to question it, then it just leaves love. But all I was experiencing is they have a problem. I don't. I mean, that's really
I have done what
kind.
I thought was the kind thing. Yeah. And that should be enough.
Well, it is enough. But if you continue to say yes, you train them to come back.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's like, why do they do it? Well, you continue to say yes. And then guilt, because you're not living out of your heart.
Mm-hmm. I love the example you used in the book where the woman said, my husband, I hate my husband. She said, I don't want to have sex with my husband. My husband's a loser. My husband's all of these things. And in the beginning, when you first started asking her, she said, yeah, he is a loser.
Yeah, in her opinion. And then the mind gives her all of the proof, all of the images, compares him with other men, etc., and she turns her off. That's no kind of sex life.
Right.
But if she questions it and turns it around, you know, and then to see what is as true or truer, not to change a person's mind, that's not what the work is about, but to realize what is as true or truer, to enlighten the mind.
Okay, she says even his breathing makes me ill. I want to leave him because of his breathing. I hate his breathing. Well, in some cases, when somebody says, you know, my husband's a loser or they're taking advantage of me, this person doesn't respect me or doesn't, you know, value me, sometimes that is true.
Well, if I thought another person should value me, then I've got a problem. You know, people can't value me if they don't. Can you value someone when you don't? It's not possible.
No.
So we question what we're believing about that person.
I can't say that there are people that are in my family. I feel that there are people in my family who don't respect me.
Okay, is that true?
Yeah, that is true.
Okay. So how do you react when you believe the thought, people in my family do not respect me?
It makes me angry. It makes me resent them. It makes me not want to talk to them. It makes me want to push back. It makes me not feel loving. It makes me want to avoid them. It makes me all of those things.
Yes. And who would you be without the thought, my family doesn't respect me? I mean, imagine yourself with them. Imagine yourself.
But I know. I've seen it too many times.
Well, I'm not asking you not to believe it.
Okay.
I'm simply asking you just for a moment to witness who you would be without the thought they don't respect me.
Okay. I would be different.
Yes, and they would be entitled to their own opinion. They could respect they have a right to not respect or to respect people, and you would be aware of that. Who would you be without the thought they don't respect me? And so let's turn it around. They don't respect me.
Yes.
What's the opposite?
I don't respect them.
Yes. Look how you're not respecting them.
How so?
Well, if they don't respect you, you're not respecting it. How respectful is that?
Huh?
Like if you don't respect me, and I don't respect that, if I don't respect that you don't respect me,
then I'm not respecting you. Okay, I got it. Epiphany, I got that. So if you don't respect me, if you're going to take advantage of me, and
no one can take advantage of me.
No one can.
That's not possible.
Okay.
I mean, when they came to you for money, who said yes? And who did you disrespect?
Let's see, who did I disrespect?
That would be you.
Yeah, I disrespected myself?
Yes.
I disrespected myself by giving them the money?
You didn't want to.
Okay, all right.
It was disrespectful to both of you and
to give them the money.
Yes, because you didn't mean it.
Okay.
You're trying, you know, we do it thinking our guilt is going to be less, but our resentment builds.
No, we do it thinking not that our guilt's going to be less. Well, maybe we do. I haven't thought about it long enough. Maybe you do it thinking maybe this time will be it. So whether it's $50 or $500,
it doesn't matter.
It's disrespectful for me to give money to people
when it's not honest for you.
When it's not honest for you.
And to give them money to, you know, as though if I give them this, it'll be over.
Yes.
You know, because you're living a secret life, and that's painful.
Yeah.
You know, I would say, I will give you this, and this is the last time I'm giving you money. And see, I couldn't even say that because it may not be. But I say, I'm giving you this, and it is my hope that it is the last time you'll ask me for money again. And then the next time they come back, if I still feel not to give them the money, then I say, I care about you. And no.
And no.
See, no has two parts. We tell them the truth and then the no. It's like, I care about you. I see that you may be in trouble. I really hear that you need it. And I have to tell you, no.
Well, this is what's great about the inquiry, because hearing you talk this way, because in reading it, I was thinking, well, gosh, you're just going to walk around in peace with yourself all the time, saying yes to everybody all the time.
And what good is integrity if it doesn't bring clarity? And clarity, the truth it's oh my goodness, it's the truth that sets us free.
Yes. Well, let's get back to this whole not taking advantage of, because I think, I think you rang a bell there.
How can someone take advantage of you? How is that possible?
I don't know. I'm thinking about that. I think there are lots of people who feel taken advantage of.
There definitely are.
They feel used.
Victims.
They feel that people, use them. And there are a lot of, and I had this for many years of my life, I can say I don't have this anymore, is this whole desire to please everybody. You're trying to please, trying to.
Hopeless.
Yes, that's a hopeless situation. Yes.
Yeah.
And you think that it's never enough, that you give and you give and you give and give and give, and it's never enough? Yes.
So how is it possible that someone could take advantage of me? If someone took their fist and like they didn't like something I said, and they just hit me as hard as they could, and I knocked me clear against a wall.
Yes.
I began to laugh. Why?
Why would
I'm
you laugh?
not crazy anymore. It's over. That is a state of grace. They hit me and it's over. Of course I'm grateful. It's over. Now here's where the pain begins.
Gosh, you're a different soul.
The mind begins to think, they shouldn't have done that. How dare they do that?
That's right.
And the mind shows the hit over and over and over. It's like he hit me once, but I use in his name to suffer. I use that image hits of him hitting me, and all of a sudden I'm a victim, and then I get
you
the world
belabor
to
it in your
agree.
mind. He hit me, he hit me, he hit me.
And I get the world to agree that this is a terrible thing, and no one stops to consider it's over. And if he hits me again, it's over. If he hits me again, it's over. And eventually, I'm out the door. As soon as I can get to the door.
So you're not saying then take the abuse?
Oh no! It's like if I'm just shocked and he hit me, then I need to do something about that. And do I want to live with someone who is going to hit another human being that way? So if I stay, the next time he hits me, he didn't hit me. I hit me. It's like his job is to hit. That's a man or a woman who hits people. That's his job. Everything has its job. Everything has its job. His job is to hit women, if we use like a male in this case.
Yes.
And
if I
stay, I can no longer say he hit me and act shocked and surprised. I mean, he's doing his job. The dog bites.
Okay.
Some dogs do, some dogs don't. This dog bites. So he hits me. I'm not shocked or surprised. I hit me at that point. But then we go out into the world and we say, he hit me, and we all agree the world is a terrible place to live. We're not taking responsibility for our own self. And so the clearer we get as we question what we believe about life and people and ourselves, the clearer we get, the kinder we become. And so
is it always about you, me?
Always.
It's always about me. It's never about the other person.
It cannot be.
It cannot be.
It cannot be.
So people who are pissing us off,
we have to look to ourselves.
It's always about us.
If we're going to get free, we have always. Yeah.
And so we should, I was going to say, you ask yourself the 4 questions. Remind us again, is it true?
Is it true? Can you absolutely know that it's true? How do you react when you believe that thought? What happens? The 4th question, who would you be without that thought? And then turn the concept that you're inquiring of around and find opposites to see what is as true or truer. And just to notice, is the concept that you're dealing with, is it peaceful or is it stressful? And if it's stressful, then my job is to invite the world to the work. And the work, again, has no power. It is each of us individually. It is our power in our own answers.
You're saying that because you're not some guru who's saying that my work is the answer.
Goodness, I'm still working on me.
You're saying that the work has the power as it is applied by each person.
As it is applied by each of us. Yes, each person.
But you know what I think, though, for many people who are new to this kind of thinking, And even for myself, when I first started reading Loving What Is, and I hear about not resisting the moment, I understand that in a certain context. And then I think about, as an African American, growing up in the United States at a time when there was a whole group of people, civil rights leaders and people whose names made the history books and did not, who made it possible for me to be where I am, to sit where I am today. And had they not resisted the injustices, had they not fought against what was considered the norm, you know, I wouldn't be here, nor would there have been progress or success. So how do you explain or define that?
So slow. Even though it appears fast, it's, you know, in our lifetime, it's so slow.
Right.
You know, I say faster. You know, the work is for people in a hurry, you know, for people suffering that are in a hurry. And yes, that's true. It's the best we had going for us on this planet.
Right.
But it is ready. It's, you know, this is a whole other paradigm that we're stepping into. And basically, as we believe our thoughts, we are going to fight, and that is slow. You know, can you imagine a world that is so ancient that they still kill each other?
Yeah.
Where they still hate each other? Well, you know, it's for me, that's an ancient world, and we're all just kind of just moving on to what
evolving from that.
Evolving from that. But yes, those minds, and yes, that courage, you know, that's they got
was necessary for the time.
Absolutely.
And you're saying this is a different time and a different way of reacting.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I have to tell you, Oprah, one of the most moving things I've ever seen in my life was I watched you not long ago. You were facing there was a crowd, it looked like all around you, and you had your arm in the air like this, and you said, I am a free woman.
Oh.
And you turned behind you and you said, I am a free woman. And it just rang from my head to my toe. That's our birthright as a human being, freedom. But you know, I was in a very large prison. One day when I was there working with these men, a man started screaming, and he screamed and he screamed, and it set many other men off screaming. But he was screaming because he was shut in a cell with his head. I mean, they shut him in there with himself. And when you believe your thoughts, you are, that's hell. And you put a Buddhist monk in there and you shut the door, he says, thank you.
Yeah, I got that.
But this man that you lock up, you know, I'm a terrible human being. I did it wrong. There's no hope for me. No one understands. That is hell.
I got that epiphany just then, because, right, there's only him in the cell with himself.
Yes.
And he's screaming.
Yes.
Because he's left alone with his own mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then do you believe that some people deserve punishment for the things that they do?
Absolutely not. Oh, my goodness. You know, no one would harm another human being if they were not confused. No one would kill another human being if they were not believing their thoughts. If someone walked up and, you know, if someone...
Well, this is just radical. This is so radical. What are we going to do with the prisons and all those people who are harming people?
You know, I say that if they questioned what they believe, then they're rehabilitated. And then when they come out, they're different human beings.
Okay. But you do believe that they have to be incarcerated someplace?
Well, absolutely. If I hurt you and I hurt someone else and I hurt someone else, have you ever hurt someone? You know how that feels?
Yes.
My goodness, stop me. If you love me, stop me.
Yes.
Lock me up.
Yes.
Because it hurts me to harm another human being.
Right.
It's mercy.
Yeah.
But then give me some way to deal with my mind so that I don't do it again. And that way is self-realization, God realization, and the work is the way to wake up.
And you're saying that self-realization, not lived, doesn't mean a thing. It's just a bunch of goo-goo gaga stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So incarcerate, but in the process of incarceration, do allow them to do the work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Very simple. Very simple.
Thank you, Byron Katie.
Oh, you're so welcome. These moments
Unlike
together.
anybody I know, you not only see the glass half full, you see it overflowing.
Well, the universe is friendly, and I invite people not to believe me, but to test it for themselves.
Thank you. What a joy.
You're welcome.
I hope you enjoyed this edition of our Soul Series. These are some of my favorite conversations.
To hear more, sign up for a free 30-day XM radio trial by going to www.xmradio.com/Oprah.